Welcome to Fredericksburg Mission, a podcast talking all things mental health and wellness in the Burgh. Brought to you by...
How do you shorten the time it takes to buy a car? Car buying just got easier. Pohanka365.com lets you complete as much or as little of the car buying process online. Pohanka365.com. Car buying simplified. Anytime, anywhere.
Welcome to Fredericksburg Mission Podcast. My name is Angela Rivers, and I am here with TLC Plus. Thank you all so much for joining me today. We have Courtney Villarreal, we have Tiffany Maxwell, and we have Lacey Downs-Jeffrey. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you for
having us.
I'm so excited to have you guys on today and to tell the community about what you guys do and what your business is and how you give back to the community as well. So why don't we just start by telling the community what TLC stands for?
Well, I'll go ahead and start with that. TLC is Think, Love, Community, and the plus is so that we actually include everybody and all topics. Last March, when COVID hit, I sat and was watching this show in regards to women in the life and all the things that they go through. The TV show is Freeform's Bold Type, and it shows three young ladies growing in their early to late 20s, an older matriarchal type figure in the show as well, and they really tapped into some topics that we typically don't discuss openly. And it ranged anywhere from your human sexuality to what happens when a 25-year-old person is diagnosed with the BRCA1 gene and those decisions. And it also, it hit on a lot of the things that happen at middle age because of the matriarchal person that's in that show. And I, at the time, was blogging for a very conservative group. They asked me not to blog about those things, and so that was when I came up with this harebrained idea to have an open community that talked about the hard things. And it wasn't until, Lacey, July, August?
August, I think.
Yeah, It was August. Lacey came to one of the events that I was holding, introduced herself as a events coordinator, which I was looking for some help. Mm-hmm. And so that's when we paired up. I had kind of shared the idea with her, some of the frustrations that I had by being blocked into a box. And then it was a few months later, we were at Freedom Society Tea Room and Gifts downtown on Caroline Street, and we met Tiffany. And the three of us together, I think, is what brought that puzzle together to make TLC Plus.
We all realized that three of us have three different specialities, so to speak,
bring to the table.
I'm more of the event coordinator, planner, putting all the events together. Tiffany's the social media. Courtney is kind of all the above, and then so.
That's the experience.
I think that's the awesome thing, though. I think the concept was within all of us, and we were just kind of waiting for it to all fall together.
But we all kind of have the same
page. We were
thought process,
absolutely.
And so we wanted to be able to use all three of our
to bring it to fruition.
Yeah.
And it's nice to talk about those topics. Mm-hmm. People often feel that they can't, and so we need that in the community.
Right. Well, having been a survivor of domestic abuse from my parents' generation, and looking back at that, and then moving forward and going through my own life and discovering that I had depression and anxiety, it's very important to me that we remove the stigma that we have in society. And
right, we need to make it okay not to be okay.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially during the times that we've had now.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's been through, hard conversations with girlfriends, people that I bring close to me, people that are not as close, and just sharing those stories to know that, as you said, it's okay not to be okay.
Yeah,
We're
true.
all going through something.
Right.
Yeah.
We don't have to be shameful of it.
Right.
And my journey's been almost 36 months now. And so it's an important thing for me. And that's when I was like, girls, we got to get together and do this. I couldn't think of two more appropriately fitted indivials to go on this journey with me and move forward. So
Thank you.
We feel the same.
the love. I feel the love.
So what do you guys do? How do you promote the business? What do you do for the community? What kind of events do you plan? That type of thing.
I mean, I think our mission is not only to embody the community, but embolden it. Like, not only show support, but spark.
Yeah.
I just think it's the whole you're not heavy, you're my brother mentality. Everyone needs a helping hand. I tell my kids all the time when I come home from with groceries, if we all just grab a bag, then it's done. It's like everybody needs help with something, and that's what you have to build on and go for.
Absolutely. The mission itself is empowering and transforming our community through conscious conversation and enlightenment. And we spent several days discussing that mission itself. In order for a person to understand really what's going on with them, they need to become okay with them. In order for them to love other people, they have to be able to love themselves. And believe me, I've been the person staring back at the mirror that didn't love themselves because I was lost.
Yeah.
And I think that our first blog post, which was the Ferrari to the minivan,
Right.
explains it. You start out as this 20-something bright and shiny with a Ferrari engine. And then by the time that you're 40, you've got the bumper hanging off, the headlight hanging out the front, the different colored door because you've been rattled and beaten a couple of times, whether it not physically, but mentally or just through your career alone. What we do to each other as human beings is magnanimous to that.
I also think as women and as mothers, we have this can-do attitude. We have to be able to just do everything. And then when you're working, you're thinking, okay, am I doing enough as a parent? When you're, with your kids, you're, we have this mentality that we have to be able to do everything.
Well, yeah, you look in the mirror and what you're seeing in the mirror is everything that's happened in your past, everything that's happening around you in the present, and then you actually have a visual of what your future self should be. And I found myself comparing myself to my mother. My mother was a first generation, work outside of the house, get home, make the dinner, and provide. And, to me, for a really long time, she was my hero. And people would ask me, well, why is your mother your hero? Well, she endured a lot, and she unfortunately didn't break the cycle. The domestic violence moved through generations of our family on both sides, my mother and father. And I don't mean that to say that I disrespect my family by any means. I understand that they were doing what they knew best at that time. But as people have socialized that this kind of thing was happening behind those four walls, and this is what it has done to us as individuals, that stigma has started to come away, and we're able to openly talk about that. And I think that as individuals, as women, men as well, again, we need to know that it's okay not to be okay, and that while your tragedy may be similar to mine, it doesn't make me any different. It just, I need to empathize with you that those things have happened.
And like Lacey said about society, the pressure, it's like we don't feel like we can ask for help sometimes because we're going to be critiqued, we're going to be judged. And so then that adds to the pressure. It's like a never ending cycle.
Right. And you know, how many of us carry around secrets with ourselves?
Oh, absolutely.
You know,
Everybody
that
does.
we shame ourselves for, you know, talking harshly to our child. I mean, we've become mothers in an age and time where physically touching your child and raising your voice is not socially acceptable, and people will judge you for that.
God forbid you do it in public.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Oh.
The one thing that I have learned is education comes at a cost, whether it's financially or emotionally, mentally, physically. Education comes at a cost, and sometimes we have to learn through the hurt, you know, and I think that's also another thing that drives me the most is that when I come up through a challenge, you have two choices.
Right.
You can back down,
Right.
or you can lean in and go through it with the fear and know that when you're on the other side, there's a lesson there.
And a mistake is not a mistake.
Absolutely.
Unless it's, you know, it can be fixed, it can be learned from,
Yep.
and you have to treat it as such and not treat
And
it
everything
as a failure.
happens for a reason.
Sure.
So
I firmly
does.
believe in that.
Yeah.
And so on top of all of that pressure, then you have COVID,
yeah.
which creates this isolation. So now you're dealing with everything you were already dealing with.
And
like
you
a
can't
pressure
really
cooker. Yeah.
reach out to anybody because
Right. You can't escape it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
During COVID, I made a way around it. I mean, they told me I couldn't meet with people in restaurants. I met with them in parking lots. We stood 6 feet away. We wore our masks, but I was still physically within distance of somebody, and we were sharing information and networking
And that's the importance of networking. It
Yeah.
creates bonds.
Yeah.
It creates
Absolutely.
community. And so
Yeah.
that's in essence what we're, talking about. That's why it's so important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You find a way.
Yep.
So you guys do a lot of networking.
Mhm.
And then how does that work? Do you post events? Do you, introduce people to other people? You know, how do you network and share that with other people?
Well, all of the above. So true networking in itself it's generally stigmatized just to businesses, small business owners, that sort of thing. And it's great. As a small business owner, you need to get out and you need to network because those are the people that you're going to turn to when you need something.
We are each other's champions.
Yeah, absolutely. However, on a social level, I think it's also important for us to network. If I had never networked, I would have never known Lacey, and I would have never known
Right.
Tiffany, and I would have never known you.
We wouldn't be sitting here.
Yep.
No, we wouldn't.
And who would have thought we graduated from the same high school,
Right.
right? So, and I've known people on Facebook. I have a friend that I've known on not Facebook. We were on Yahoo chat boards. That's how far back we go, before Facebook was a thing. And when he calls from California, we rise up. We have never physically met one another, but there's a bond there. And a lot of people say that people hide their character online, and I don't. What you see is what you get. I'm not here to hide anything. I am me, truly me, and I'm an open book. If you have a question, I'll answer it. Most people know me as the person that will answer truthfully. So if you want a real opinion, you're going to get it. And I don't deliver news harshly. But I'm not going to lie and say,
I do. I'm the harsh one.
I'm not
I'm a
going to
little
look
bit
at you
nicer
and tell
sometimes.
you that the dress looks pretty when, the print makes you look washed out and big. It's
Yeah.
just one of those things. I mean, I'm a big girl as it is. I don't need anybody to tell me that I look big in prints.
But you're beautiful.
Big, bold, and beautiful.
That's the size 8 that still lives inside of me.
That's right.
So, but I'm happy with myself, and it took a long while to get there. But anyway, I digress. What was I saying? We were talking about me.
So, networking. How do you
Yes.
guys network? What types of events do you do? What types of things? So if somebody's listening and they say, oh, I really want to get involved, this group seems amazing, how do I get involved?
So right now we have a platform on Facebook. It's TLCFXBG, and we put all of our events up there. We have our first event May 1st. Yes.
At Freedom Society.
We have
say it wrong. Yes, I can remember.
We have our first event May 1st at Freedom Society down on Caroline Street. For the lack of better terms, it's a me and my mini. Your mini can be, your mini can be any age, going from 8 to 18, 21, 48, whatever you want to do. It's an invitation for men and women to bring in someone that they feel they are mentoring with or somebody that they're partnering with through life. So thus far, we haven't really published it out there just yet. But another one of the events that we're doing is a day trip from Fredericksburg to Washington, D.C. Yes, that's
That'll be so much fun.
it's going to be very exciting. It is the 360-degree Van Gogh immersion, and we're just waiting to see where we're supposed to be going. They haven't told us
Once they have the
yet.
location.
Once we have the location.
We were lucky enough to get 7 tickets, 3 of which have been taken already. I think 4th is on the table. And 5th might be behind the camera. We're not sure yet. But it's going to be an all-day kind of trip that gets you out of the area.
She gave a thumbs up. All right, 5 tickets gone.
5 tickets gone. So we have 2 tickets left. We're going to hopefully take a ride, not driven by one of us, up to DC at 9:30, 10
I
o'clock
call
in the
not
morning.
driver.
Yep.
Go to the show, have a lunch, and really just connect with girls, right? This is a girls' trip. We have plans in the future to do axe throwing events, barbecues, where we might actually do some sort of cook-off, that sort of thing, to get people out and really start to connect with one another.
Yeah, and it's not just for business people, because I think some of these things they say like professional women or marketing or anything with business in the titles, and that's what we're trying to get away from, is because we want regular people who are just wanting to get out to come and socialize.
The bottom line, at the end of the day, everything we're discussing and like all of the events, networking is creating bonds. It's connections, and that's what we're here for.
It's a community.
It's a community.
It's a community, which is, that's in
So
the
don't
title.
think
we're here for.
Yeah. So don't think you have to own a business or work at a business or anything to come to these things. It's for anybody, everybody.
Welcome all.
And we really don't have that here. I mean, we have mom groups, and so when your kids are most of the moms graduate when their kids get a little older, and then you have the networking for businesses, but we don't have something just for fellowship, for people to be friendly and get out and enjoy and
it's hard to lean on a tribe when you don't have the tribe, and that's what we're this is what we're doing. This is a tribe.
Yeah.
And you guys talked about the tribe concept to me when we
Yes.
were discussing this interview. So why don't you tell the listeners what that is all about?
Do you want to?
Well, okay, so a tribe, and if you look it up, and its very definition, it's community linked by social, economic, or blood ties, linked by common culture or dialect. So we are literally here together. Anybody can be a tribe. Everyone at this table is a tribe. Behind the camera is a tribe. We can all, we are here to achieve great things, to lift each other up.
Yep. Your neighborhood can be a tribe.
Right.
Your church, your school, and
Your hobbies, your
anything,
interests, anything can become a tribe. And to push that even further, I discuss the tribe. People ask me, well, define your tribe. My tribe has many different faces and many different personalities and characteristics. I lean on my tribe, not only in my business, because I am a small business owner, but also in my daily life. If I need an opinion as to, what's going on at this very moment in my life, and I feel like I'm stuck, I have one person that I call. It just happens to be Diane Chandler with Scout and Cellar. She does my wine, yo-yo.
I heard wine.
She's my wine consultant. But Diane has my back. She's a sister, right, from another, she's a sister to me, from another family, and she's able to somehow, some way, get me out of my funk. She just will pull me up and tell me, girl, put your big girl panties on and let's go, and I listen to her. She's the only person I know that has been able to give me a deadline on crying, and I stop the minute she's given me, whether we're together or not. But I go to her if I need somebody that is challenging, that challenges my thinking and my thought process, because I feel like I might just be running in the mud. I go to Jeffrey Halpern down at Your Promo Printer. He has a very subtle way of getting you to look at things and change your perspective, or at least to look at another perspective of the individual that you're dealing with. If I need somebody that's creative and fun, Tiffany's it,
I'm up.
If I need a mommy moment and somebody that understands, parenting and just the trials and tribulations through it, I call Angela. And of course, with you, if I'm trying to put something together and I feel like I'm all over the place, I can get my whiteboard to come down to 2 columns with Lacey. So,
And that's why now more than ever, sisterhood is needed. Community is needed. Your tribe is needed.
Absolutely.
Whether it's an ear, a shoulder, a text. I do a mental check-in. I'm like, checking in at just odd hours just to make sure, everyone's good. But I mean, that's what we want TLC Plus to be about.
Yeah. So really, I can roll the time clock back to 2018. I was a full-time employee at a very reputable credit union. I was extremely unhappy after 20 years of service with them. I was put out on medical leave for 6 weeks. I don't care. I'll tell everybody about it. They were trying to determine whether or not something physically was going on with me, or whether or not the stress was really doing the harm to my body. I would wake up days and not be able to function. I was stiffed into joints, headaches, that sort of thing. And so my doctors, the 3 of them, God bless them, got together. They actually talked to one another and said, no, you're out for 6 weeks. And in that and I'm a type A personality. I don't sit still for anyone. My husband laughs at me because
You're doing very well.
Thank you. I will sit with the laptop in my lap, chat with somebody on Facebook or about whatever's going on, and be watching a TV show. And still be able to tell you what was going on in the TV show and listen to a conversation in the other room.
Multitasking again. Yeah.
And he says that I never stop. And so I was worried about that. I was like, okay, well, great. I'm going to be home for 6 weeks. What am I going to do? And that's when Diane said, come out, let's go networking. And that's where I met Sheila Lanier, Dana Collins, and a couple other people that really helped me kind of see that I had gotten to that minivan moment in my life, and that I really needed to pull out the Ferrari, throw back the tarp, look at the engine, look at the outside, and polish it back up.
You can't pour from an empty cup. That's
No,
one of my
you
favorite
can't.
sayings.
No,
I mean, you can't.
you
I mean, if
can't.
you think about it, there's nothing to give others if there's nothing to give.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Dana Collins, bless her heart, she was the one that told me that you will hear the answers from your higher power in silence. And I after the 6 weeks was up, I went back to work. Something happened at work, and I got very, very upset about it. And I can remember the moment. I went in and I was writing in my journal. If you don't have a journal, buy one. Buy several. And I remember writing, and I was looking at myself and, writing, and I said, I don't understand how it is that I could be a part of a community for 20 years and feel so alone. But yet when I walk into a room of people that I barely know, I was so welcome. And it was a Thursday afternoon meeting, Free and I, that we had at Castiglia's with Marty Johnson and Phil Salo and a couple of other people. And I was like, oh, my tribe is no longer where I work. It's outside of where I work. And that's when I came to the conclusion I needed to start getting out in my community. Something happened on the 23rd of July. I bumped my head. I woke up. I found my sanity. I took it back on August 9th and I retired.
I got to try that then.
Yeah.
And people thought I was crazy, right?
Yeah.
What are you going to do? Where are you going to go? How are you going to make your money? I didn't care at that point.
Yeah.
My husband and my children weren't even telling me, we don't care. We just want you to be happy, because when mommy's happy, mommy can take care of everybody else.
Yeah.
And we can pay the bills, and we can function every day.
Yep.
And so that's when I was like, and from that point on, from August 9th all the way through, man, I started networking.
Yeah.
And again, I've got people, if I don't know it, I call Phil. Because why? Because Phil will, right?
I always tell people, you're the one that knows everybody. If I need something, I call you. It's like, do you know what this is, or do you know where that is? And you're able to put me in the right direction, which I love.
And success breeds success.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I mean, and I don't get anything in return other than the emotional satisfaction of knowing that I'm supporting my community, and
We are each other's champions.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Fredericksburg's a
That's what
big
it comes
family.
down to.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And speaking of champions, so we're going to be wrapping up in a few minutes, but I always end all the podcasts by, at UMFS, because obviously this is supported by UMFS and Pohanka, and at UMFS we pride ourselves on being champions. Our families are champions, our kids are champions, and so how are each of you a champion in the community?
Lacey, you want to start?
I mean, when I was thinking about it, to me, everyone's a champion in their own way. And so I feel like I'm a champion when I advocate for people who can't, like my son who has a disability, and he went through several years of hospital stays, therapies, and he still has to take daily medication, but you wouldn't know that he has really anything wrong with him, because he's like the happiest kid in the world. He's so smart. He's loves people. Like, he's just an awesome kid. And I know everyone says that about their kids, but
And we're all right.
yeah. But like the things that he's overcome just in 8 years, like he loves to play baseball, and when he first started out, he was scared to even hit the ball off the tee. He needed help running around the bases.
But he didn't lose his passion.
But he kept
didn't lose it.
trying,
That's right.
and 2 seasons later, almost a year later, I guess, he learned how to hit the ball without a tee. You could throw it at him, and he can't see the ball coming at him, and he hit it over and over and over, and the smile on his face was just like, I started crying, because that's a proud moment for a kid. And then he just ran all by himself through every base, and
that made him feel
that was the moment I knew, like, I did something right, that my kid had the will in him to keep trying and keep fighting, and finally, and I think
That's awesome.
So he's my champion because he's, yeah. I'm very proud of him.
You should be.
Yeah.
I'm proud of him too. I don't know. I think my philosophy is simple. You shop small, you dream big, you rise up. Be kind. And I think that's, just be kind. You're a champion. Be kind.
Yeah.
That's it.
For me, I do things for the emotional paycheck. It doesn't pad the bank coffers very well, but the emotional paycheck is what really drives me. And that's one of the things that I wanted to make sure that we did with TLC Plus, is that we brought not only our venues, our small businesses together, and the nonprofits that are out there. We have several nonprofits in the Fredericksburg area that people don't even know about, and then bring it to the awareness of our community. And I think that's where I am a champion, is I want to drive the awareness. I want to drive away the stigmas, and I want to make sure that as human beings we're educated, and that we're inclusive to everyone in our community, because what I can't do, these two can, you can. I can't run a podcast. I could try. I'm sure I could learn, but it's not my passion. My passion is actually getting out and networking and making sure that we make our connections. Whether
And
they
look what we all accomplished together.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, a few short months of us just saying we're going to do this.
We're
and
here.
now we're
Well,
here.
I'll be honest. I
Cut the mics.
No, I'll be honest. I mean, when I look at the people that I surround myself with, I find a champion in each one of you. I know that Lacey has had, great challenges, especially with a child on the autism scale. And I see how she interacts with her own children, and it's just beautiful. I had the great pleasure of having tea with them the other day, and he was such a gentleman. And then, Tiffany comes with a story. We all come with a story. And the fact that she's endured what she's done, I've endured what I've done, and I know that, Angela, that you endure what you've endured, but you're still out there championing for children that don't have homes. They're faced with people that have told them they don't want them or they can't take care of them. And that, in my mind, is just, it's unacceptable. So
Be a champion for each other.
yep, absolutely.
certainly.
Absolutely.
And so, because we're talking about community and about networking, we brought some gifts today to share with our subscribers and for anyone listening. And so we are going to be giving away a bunch of different things. Once this goes live, we will be giving away. We have a necklace from Tasselroo. We have some bath bombs from Skin and Spa Boutique. We have earrings from the Miller's Company. We have a Samsung tumbler from AT&T. We have an Italian Station gift card, a mug, some masks from Bronzed Berry, and a Versace handbag. Did I miss anything?
No,
That's it.
everything.
Yeah. So when, for those that are listening, we will be dropping information for anyone that's subscribing to learn more about getting these gifts. But it's really great to unite the community in so many different ways, and here today as well.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much. for
so
having
much.
us.
Thank you guys so much for joining me today. Just to reiterate, if anybody is wanting to find you all, where can they find TLC Plus?
On Facebook at TLC Fredericksburg.
Great. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Courtney.
Thank
Thank you, Tiffany.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you
Lacey.
so much.
Thank you, Angela,
you.
for having us.
Of course. And one special thank you to Anita Crossfield from Italian Station for the coffee that we are drinking today. This is Angela Rivers with Fredericksburg Mission. See you next time. Thank you for joining us. I'm Angela Rivers with Fredericksburg Mission. Tune in at Apple Podcast, Spotify, or anywhere you listen to your podcast. Join us again next week for our next episode.
How do you shorten the time it takes to buy a car? Car buying just got easier. Pohanka365.com lets you complete as much or as little of the car buying process online. Pohanka365.com. Car buying simplified. Anytime, anywhere.